Good morning, guys, and welcome back to the garden. Been sitting outside enjoying the quiet of the morning, but now people are waking up and you can start to hear them hitting the road, so bear with me. You can hear the wind coming. It's very breezy today, too. So, a lot of you don't know this, but before this past December, I was a live-in caregiver for my 90-year-old grandma. For about 6 years, her and I were roommates and best friends. I always kind of considered my grandmother my compass, my true north. Whenever I had feelings that I wasn't where I was supposed to be, or I wasn't doing enough, or that other people that I had graduated high school with were ahead of me, I was always reminded that because of her, I was exactly where I was supposed to be when I was supposed to be there. I knew without a doubt that caring for her was my purpose, at least for that short period of time. And 6 years of one's life isn't really that much. And I look back on that with so much gratitude. And after she passed in December, with my whole family by her side, we really took care of her into her last breath, and she was able to pass in her bed in her own home. That period of time really brought my entire family together on my mother's side. Caring for her day in and day out, overnights, everything she needed. It was honestly an honorable experience. And those last few months really taking care of her when she was on a downward turn in hospice made me grow as a woman equally as much as those 5 years prior to that time. Since her passing in December, my life has been a little different. I guess you could say since her passing and moving back home, I really had to recalibrate my compass and figure out what my new true north is. And although I'm not really sure what that means for me and what that is, I know that this dream of mine is what keeps me moving forward. Moving back home with my parents, which was a personal choice. Max and I both chose to move in here to save money. In 2020, I was given the vision of this really big dream of learning to homestead and feeding my family from the land and being able to possibly bring my parents in on this journey. I really dream of a homestead where older generations can be in life with younger generations, and that my parents can see my grandchildren every day, and my children can learn from them just as much as they learned from me and Max. And there's something so special about combining young generations with older generations. It gives a lot more meaning to life, and it's something I think society has become numb to over time. We're so fast-paced, we're so moving, and money and power and moving up that ladder and succeeding and buying our own houses and buying our own land and having separate cars, and it gets this place where it's like, what are we moving for? For me, I'm a caregiver at heart, and I really want to care for my parents in the way that I cared for my grandmother. I hope to have a homestead that I can pass down to my kids and their kids and their kids. And if they want to live there and stay, they live there and stay. And if they want to go and explore the world and move somewhere else, they can do that. but they will always have this home base to come back to with warm, fresh bread and berries in the garden, and having some chickens and a dairy cow, hopefully. Being able to preserve our own food and have a big garden of flowers and herbs and vegetables and fruits, and really going back to the heart of what I think I want in my life. A place for many people to call home, and it's something I spent a lot of my time preparing for. I've been learning how to can, how to jam, some new recipes using vegetables and fruits that I never really ate before, but I'm learning how to grow, and I'm finding a love for them in their own time. I'm kind of in my waiting period where I'm just learning as much as I can, storing as much information as I can, practicing as much as I can where I'm at, hoping that that will prepare me for when I do have land and I do get to move to my dream and really make it come true. One of the interesting things I learned after my grandmother had passed, when we were looking through her house and sorting boxes and deciding who gets what things and whether we're throwing out old things or keeping things, and we found some old pictures of one of her farmhouses when she was a little girl as they were building it. And I look at that picture and I can't help but to think that those are the hopes of my heart, that maybe one day I'll have a house that looks like that. We also found pictures of her garden around her home that I had shared with her for a couple of years, that she and my grandpa owned for about 25 years. And she grew lots of different types of flowers, and every year it changed. And I looked at that and I thought, my grandmother was a gardener, and I had no idea. And it's like one of those things that you learn more about your grandparents sometimes after they pass than you did when they were alive. And now when I work in the garden, I can't help but to think and wish that she could teach me some things, because I'm finding the garden in a time where she was too old to work in the garden. And although I grew an elaborate garden out on her deck, which you could see was my very first video ever, a garden tour for that I got to bring her back to the garden in that way, a place that she could sit and have her coffee and read her paper and be amongst the garden, kind of like her farm maybe back in the day.
Don't tickle my ears.
I kind of wish that she could be by my side today, teaching me some things about flowers or growing or fruits and vegetables. And although she's not here to teach me those things, I do feel her in the garden, and I do feel like in many ways I'm keeping that alive, and that she'd be very proud of what I grew this year and maybe what I'll be growing for years to come. A lot of who I am is embedded in who she was and who I became under her roof those last 6 years. And although I'm trying to figure out who I am moving forward, not being a main caregiver for someone, and learning how to push forward with my dreams even when I don't see them clearly, a lot of it goes back to her. Who I became under her house, who I'm becoming since her, and who I'm becoming alongside her now in spirit. So I guess moral of this garden story is, thank you, Grandma, for all that you have done for our family, that you've done for me. And I look forward to feeling you in my travels and who I grow to be, and in the garden. Thank you, Grandma. I love you. And then the wind picks up again. Hi, Grandma. Sometimes I feel her in the wind. Thank you for spending some time in my garden with me this morning, learning a little bit more about my backstory and my future dreams, and I hope to continue to bring you guys along on that journey one day. I appreciate you so much. Thank you.